Satnam. I'm Lillian Savoy here at Awaken Change Podcast with my friend Kelly McGee. And today's podcast is going to be a little different because I'm not interviewing you and you're not interviewing me.
I was like, I didn't think I was going to be back on Lillian's podcast so soon after the last one.
Oh my gosh, we've had like a lifetime of stuff since you came on the podcast last time and talked about herbs and teas and tinctures and
coffee, not coffee. I'm drinking it right now.
Okay, good. Yeah, coffee, not coffee. So today we are going to talk about our living funeral experience. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to, so after I had Natalie on my podcast, if y'all haven't listened to Natalie, she's a yogi, and she's in kind of the beginning of the podcast. And then Kelly came on and talked about her stuff. And then I had this bright idea after listening to Natalie that I needed to have a living funeral because I'm turning 50 this year. Kelly, how old are you? I'm just curious.
I'm 45.
Oh, such a babe. Okay, so I'm turning 50 this year and I'm kind of freaking out about everything. I'm freaking out about, thank God I started really, heavy lifting and working out again last year in January. So I'm a year and a month into after my shoulder surgery. And so I'm feeling physically amazing. And then I'm freaking out about career, freaking out about money, freaking out about being an empty nester because I only have one kid left out of 5, which you can relate because how many kids do you have?
I have 4 and they're all still here. So no one has gone anywhere yet. So I haven't gotten there, but I know it's coming.
It's coming and it freaking sucks. Okay. And so, but there's also some bright light in it, obviously mixed in. And then I moved Jules to Nashville. She's been stuck without power. We're going on week 2 of no power, stuck in Nashville with me paying hotel bills. And I mean, I paid the same amount of rent for hotel bills as I did for rent for her. Because it was like, let me just pay your rent. I didn't pay January. She did. But let me just pay your rent. And then I was like, oh my God, you're out of power. She got power. The apartment got up to 50 degrees. The power grid blew. So she's there still house surfing, interviewing for jobs. She has 4 job interviews this week. Hopefully she'll get one of them.
From a hotel. Can you imagine if I had to go? See, this is why this happens to young people. Because if I had to go on job interviews while living in a hotel, I would be like, oh, I can't.
She couldn't. She couldn't. So, you know where she is? She's staying at her roommate's boyfriend's parents' house.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was after a week of hotels of checking in. We even had to check her out at 9:45 p.m. because she couldn't breathe because of the mold.
Yeah.
We had to check her out at 9:45 after we checked her in.
Oh.
And I say we because, the mom is on the phone, I'm on the computer on all these crappy sites, Expedia, Booking, all that stuff. They're just all bad. And, because then you get there in person and it's like nothing what they told you. It's like,
no, never. It never is. It's a scam every time. It's the worst. And they just take it. And then you can't complain about anything because you never get a person.
Yeah, there's no complaining. So she goes, oh, Mom, send me all your hotel receipts. I'm going to send it to, I said, FEMA. And she goes, yeah. I go, just go get a job. No one's giving you money. Just go get a job.
Yeah, we broke FEMA with Katrina. Anybody who was here for Katrina and got FEMA money, we broke FEMA. It ain't a thing anymore.
No, it's
forget it. That was a one-time deal.
Right. I was just like, just go get a job. She goes, and then she was full of jokes that night. She's like, well, are you working? And I was like, yeah, but I'm trying not to. And she goes, you have to work. You're too young. I was like, you have to work.
She's telling you. No, honey, I have to work because you are not working. Like, that's how this works.
Yeah. Even a 3-week lag or a 2-week power outage, that is like savings account, honey. This is why people in lending tell you need 6 months to live off of before you even think about buying a house.
Yeah.
Because one disaster
goes down. This is what goes down. And it's you're effed at that point, really.
Mm-hmm. So it's been a very fun 2 weeks. So in the middle of the 2 weeks, I called Kelly. As soon as I decided I was going to have a living funeral, I was like, okay. So I asked 2 people. One told me no. Kelly told me yes. So I was like, yay, Kelly and I are going to die together and come back together.
And from my side, that invitation was, we talked about it when I was there, and you were like, I'm going to die. And I was like, at first I was like, what? Are we doing ayahuasca? What's happening?
I probably would die if I did ayahuasca.
And so then I was like, yeah, sounds cool. Sweet. And then when you texted me and was like, my house, 1:00, be there, I was like, okay, it's on. But I honestly didn't really know what it entailed. And I'm like, I'm down for anything. I mean, how bad could it be? Like, I like to pretend, I was going to be an actress. Did you know that? I was going to be an actress. Like, that was my life goal when I was Julia's age.
Really?
Yep. So I was like, I can play pretend. I can die for pretend. Like, I do that all the time. The kids, we play. Look, on my desk right now. Is
that a play gun?
My grandpa made it. That's why it's on my desk, because my grandpa made this. But when my kids were little, you play cowboys and Indians or whatever,
Oh, I played lots of baby dolls, as you can imagine, and Barbies, because I'm dressed like one today. My hot pink shirt on and my pink
I love
lips.
You in pink. I love it. It's amazing.
Pink's my color.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're right. I did just send you a text. Tuesday, 1:00, 1 to 4, be here. I did. And I kind of text like that. I'm not like the fluffy texter that's like, good morning, I love you, I hope you're having a beautiful day. I like get straight to the shit. I'm like, where's lunch? What time?
Yeah. It's logistical. I'm with you. It's logical and it's logistical. That's what it's for. I get it. I'm with you 100%.
So my friend Erin, who she is like the best texter ever. She's like, good morning, sunshine. You're gorgeous. And today is going to be an amazing day. And I love you. And how are the kids? And how are you? And I'm like, how are you so perfect?
You're like, stop it.
No, I love it. Oh my God, I love it. But I'm just like, okay, this is why we have like a variety of people in our lives, right?
Yeah.
Because it's
lots of flavors.
Lots of flavors. And she's so amazing. Okay. So back to Living Funeral. All right. So Natalie agreed. Natalie it was funny. It's not that she didn't want me to be by myself, but she definitely encouraged other people. And then I thought that was weird because you don't really die with other people. You die alone. Right. And technically what I read in my Kundalini book when I was going through, it was Sadhguru, and it was his book about dying. Okay, so obviously I'm really into this because I'm dying because, well, first of all, we're all dying. Okay, and second of all, our parents are really dying.
For real.
Right? And so that is like looking at me in the face. And I've talked about that before, but it kind of freaks me out. So I'm trying to get really comfortable with death. And what I'm finding out is that I am very comfortable with death.
Good. I think that's good.
So I wanted someone that I thought would be really comfortable with death. So that was you.
I'm really comfortable with death.
So I have a question though. Okay, since I do medium readings and obviously speak to a lot of spirit guides, are you surrounded by more human death or spirit, like connected more to the spirit world death? Because
so that was one of the reasons internally why I wanted to do this with you, was because I do think that it's important to go through personal spiritual deaths. And I have gone through, transitions in the last couple of years of my life that require me to release parts of my identity, beliefs that I've held, behaviors that have served me in the past but are no longer serving me. I'm very comfortable with human death because I have, it's again the logical, rational, analytical mind. I don't know. It's like, it's a biological process. I adopted when I first learned about Buddhism, right after being raised Catholic, and I had learned about the Buddhism concept of non-attachment. And I feel like I was like a teenager when that happened. And I think ever since I learned about that, I've just been striving for non-attachment. And so when someone in our lives die, it's like thanks for being here. I had a great time with you, cheers to your next adventure. Sometimes I'm like, oh, what a relief, or I'm so happy for them. Like my mom was caregiving for this guy several years ago, and he was really old and miserable, so miserable. And I just can't even imagine how miserable it can get when you're nearing and you're like,
yeah,
get it over with already, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Another thing I remember when we were teen, not that I want to, like side quest this conversation, but Jack Kevorkian, that was a big thing when we were kids. When I was a kid, I remember like hearings or whatever they were, it was on the news all the time for a little while about this man who was helping people die, and it was a big deal. And I'm like, well, if you're freaking done and you're suffering and you're miserable and you just want to get it the heck over with, like, so when I hear of someone dying who's been obviously having a really hard time with the end of life process, I'm like, good for them. Like, I'm happy for them because they have achieved release and relief and they're on to the next thing. And I believe that next thing is actually beautiful. You get to reunite with source, and on an energetic level. So your physical, biological body goes in the ground, whatever you do with it. I like the whole like plant a tree with me, thing, like plant a tree on top of me or put me down underneath of the ball of a tree or whatever. Green funerals. I know this great herbalist who died, and wherever he lives, whatever state it is, it was like legal for them to just carry him out into the woods. That's what he wanted. And it was, it was okay for them to do that. But that, that's not legal in every state. So like I said, we could totally side quest this conversation about all that, but I really wanted to do this because I know that there were parts of me, my belief systems. I've been saying I'm in goo phase of the chrysalis. I don't know what is going to come out of this part of my life, but there's definitely a transformation happening. And I'm, kind of just trying to keep it simple and cling to my daily routine of being in my body, just physical embodiment, because our bodies are our antennas that guide us through what, if you tap in, you can feel this is right for me. This is wrong for me. This is in alignment with me. This is not something I want to do anymore. Like that kind of thing. Literally, it's a day-to-day process. And some days I'm like, oh, I don't want to be like that anymore. I wish that part of me would just die, like I'm so over that. So I felt like it was appropriate to go through this process with you. I was honored that you asked me because it felt like it was really big and important. And I looked forward to it, but also too, it was very blah. It was very nonchalant because we had such huge transformation in our lives last week with my boyfriend getting in a car accident that by the time Wednesday came, I didn't even really know at the beginning of the week if I was going to actually be there. I didn't even know if it was going to happen.
So interesting that you said that, because like my dad went into the hospital on Saturday night, and I think your boyfriend got in the wreck on Sunday or Monday.
It was Monday.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had like a huge crisis on Saturday night. He went into the hospital with 103.5 fever, and he spent 5 nights in the hospital. And, it was like touch and go because they found E. coli in his system.
Holy Lord.
It was just so interesting that you told me that, because I had several incidences preparing for this death. Natalie kept calling it the death simulation.
I like it.
And we were calling it the living funeral, but which it is a living funeral because we are living.
Both.
Yeah, it's both.
I like the word simulation just to make people comfortable with what are you doing? That's crazy. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So I would, because I'm kind of blunt. I saw this t-shirt yesterday. It said, God made me blunt because he rolled me that way. And I was like, God, that's so me. So, I'd be like, oh, I can't do that on Wednesday. I'm dying. I can't do it on Wednesday. I love it. I'm dying.
No, Wednesday I'm booked. I'm dying on Wednesday.
Wednesday I'm booked. I can't do an appointment. I'm dying.
I love it.
It was like preparing me to die. And like I had the thing with my dad who came out of the hospital fine, and they were able to give him enough antibiotics to kill the E. coli and got him back home. So that's good. And then Raul, your boyfriend, didn't die. He came back.
Thank God.
Out of the car, and
for 2 or 3 days, I was looking at him like I was looking at a ghost because I couldn't believe that he didn't die. Yeah. Because it was a really bad, he didn't even have like a broken bone, which is nuts.
Yeah.
So I totally was, Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
so I think
in
it's
a weird
like really
headspace.
interesting that spirit like gave us those hints of death before the living funeral. And
That's interesting.
I also think that happens in like everyday life. Like I think we're given little choices whether we want to live or die every day.
Yeah.
And I think one of the big reasons why I wanted to do the living funeral is because I'm also have very similar thoughts as you, and I didn't know that that was why you said yes. But some beliefs that we have are so deep and so generational and so ingrained in our past lives that I get sick of them.
Yeah.
I get sick of like having certain beliefs or certain thoughts or certain patterns.
Yeah.
And so I was like, ooh, it would be really fun to see if I'm shown any of that in the living funeral. And, but it was totally different than what I was expecting. And I didn't really get shown that. But so let me just set the stage and then we can talk about our experiences. But so Natalie sets up, we did it in my house and we did it in this room where I podcast in, because this is my favorite, most sanctuary room, because everything has a place and a meaning and a intention. And so I moved everything around and Natalie set up me and Kelly side by side with like, yoga mats, wool blankets. We had our yoga, what is it called?
Bolsters.
We had bolsters. And then
I could pull the picture up if you want to. Can you screen share? Do you want to do that? No.
Well, that's probably hard. Look, I'll show mine. And if you have yours. Okay.
It's over here.
Natalie made these. Okay. It's easier than screen sharing. But Natalie made these. And this is like our, what did she call these? Like our obituary. Oh, yours is good for the light. Yeah. Okay. So Natalie made these. And so we walk in and she has these on our table. We each have our own death obituary thing with our death date being, what day did we die, Kelly?
That was the 28th.
January 28th. Yeah. So we died January 28th. And then we had fresh flowers that my husband got us, because it's always nice to have fresh flowers at your funeral.
Yeah. I loved that he got those for us. I didn't know he did that. That's nice.
Well, I don't think he wanted to be a part of the living funeral, but that was like his little contribution.
I love it. That's cute.
So Kelly and I are just like chatting in the kitchen about her boyfriend's car wreck, and I'm pouring tea, and she's like, I'm so tired. And I'm like, I feel strange. And so we walk in and the whole energy is just like, literally we are walking into our own funeral homes.
It was really still. The air felt still. And we were talking about how, like, I said, I'm tired, but I wasn't like tired, like sleepy. I was like, I felt like I was just worn out, like I just had been sort of like emotionally exhausted. And now I'm finally in this place that's safe because, I love your house and I love your space. And I love that you're sharing it with me. And so I'm like safe and I can let it go. And I know that no matter what comes out of my mouth, it's like, accepted and I can just be me and I can get it off my chest or whatever. And so that was nice, to be in a still place of stillness to process, prior to what. So it was almost like, when you go to a funeral and everybody's sitting around talking for a little while, and then they kind of like close the doors and the room gets silent and everyone's still, that's what it felt like. We're in the kitchen visiting and drinking tea.
That was like our prep. Interesting. Yeah.
That was our visit. That was what they call the visitation.
That was the visitation.
As like growing up Catholic and having so many family members, especially great aunts and uncles. Do you know both of my grandparents on my dad's side, both my grandma and my grandpa, my dad's parents, had 12 siblings.
Oh,
12.
Wow.
So growing up, I went to funerals. I was going to funerals from like 5 years old. Like, there was, because all of those old great aunts and uncles were passing. So we've done this so many times, and you sit and everybody drinks coffee and, people, there's quiet, smaller rooms off to the side where you can just be with a few people if you really need that privacy. And then there's the bigger room and there's the coffin and of course you didn't cremate, you know what I mean? Back then. So,
no.
You're sitting in this room and they're there and you can sit and look at them and talk about, or put something in there with them or whatever.
Oh, that's so Natalie is doing that behind the scenes while we're visiting. So she's getting like our whole, like, for lack of a better word, like casket ready, right?
Yep.
It was our casket.
It was an energetic casket. It was not an actual, we did not get in an actual casket.
You're right. Energetic casket. I like that. Yeah. So it was our yoga mats. It was everything that we love. And then we're dressed in like, Andre asked me if I wore white or something. Or no, he's like, did you wear your favorite outfit? I'm like, first of all, I don't really have a favorite outfit because that's just a fact. And second of all, I'm like, no, I wore my hobo clothes. I wore my fleece pants from Old Navy and I wore my fleece sweater.
I wore this shirt. It says down to earth. This shirt, it says down to earth.
Perfect. No bra. I don't even think I had underwear on. Like
very
nothing.
relaxed.
Very relaxed. Okay. So then we walk in and Natalie has the whole atmosphere. And so then she asked us to kind of stare at our picture. And
that was so moving. Yeah.
I was like, I felt so grateful for myself. I think everybody needs to do this. I really think everybody needs to have a living funeral before they actually die. That is really this is why the purpose that I'm doing this podcast, because I felt so moved that I feel so strongly that people really should try it before they actually die. Yeah. You know, number one, so you're not scared of death. I think maybe that's why I was doing it, right? To just resolve anything maybe that, or actually my sister told me that while we were getting our nails done. And she was like, because I told Dad, you know, maybe you were resolving some fears that you had about death. I'm like, that's so interesting. I'm not really afraid to die, but I'm afraid how I'm going to die. So maybe I did resolve that. You know, I don't want to be like my friend Danielle. She's like, if I'm going to die, just kill me dead. Like, I don't want to stroke out.
Drag it out. Yeah.
I don't want to drag it out like just dead, you know? So she has had many talks with God about that. So
interesting. I've not prayed about my own death. That's so interesting. That would be something I maybe should think about.
So when I was looking at the picture, so let's do that. So when I was looking at the picture, I was thinking to myself, wow, you know what? I did have a great life and I did give back to community and I did live. I love the people in my life and I have a great life and it was great. And I'm really thankful. I felt like this immense sense of like gratitude for my life. I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, I think that was a pretty successful life. As I'm bawling, crying, which felt kind of odd because I'm like having these immense like gratitude feelings with Source, but I'm like, holy shit, I'm dead. You know,
you're so good. You were doing such a good job of dying. I was not there at all. When I was just sitting looking at this picture, I was like, because I remember what was going on at this time of my life. I was thinking of the person who took this photograph of me.
Okay.
I was seeing the emotions on my eyebrows, you know, that I was carrying. And so, like I said, as I'm going through a transition in my, like over the last couple of years, with my family, you know, and my identity is changing. So I'm seeing that because this photo is old of me. This is like 8 or so years old. I mean, I didn't have gray hair yet. I think I was still coloring my hair. But I was looking at like, you know, this drawn mouth situation, like the forced smile or whatever. Like it was hard for me to get there that day to get those photos taken. So I was thinking about like, just what my life was like and what I thought this photo was going to be for me. You know, it was like, you know, I need a professional headshot, right? So it was like pressure and internal pressure, external pressure, family pressure, just strain, forced happiness, you know, all, and that's all stuff that I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not doing that. So that's what I was.
So that came up for you? All that stuff just from the picture?
Just looking at my own face, that's what I was thinking when she was prompting us to do that, was the ways of behaving from that time of my life that are not part of who I am anymore. And if there's any little trace of that in there or any tendency to go back into that, like I'm letting that go.
Yeah.
So
I did have some like really thankful for my youth, you know, because my picture is standing by my oak tree at my house.
Yeah.
You know, who was like my true love, you know, my oak tree. And
that's such a good tree.
I kept just thinking like, that was like such a magical time. We'd have women's circles around my tree, and I'd make sprays all around my tree, and we'd pray around my tree, and we'd mantra, and we'd do everything around that tree, everything. And now someone else is enjoying that tree, you know, because I rent that house out. But that tree does come and speak to me. So I thought, and it's so funny because you said this in the beginning, but I thought I do want to be buried like under the tree or with the tree or however. I just don't bury me in a plastic bag.
Yeah, right. And don't burn me. I don't want to be burnt either, you know?
So how are you going to cremate?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. Okay, I think I'm going to do the pot. You do the pot. I mean, you could get cremated and get put underneath of a tree, but like look into green funerals. There's so many different ways that you can do a green funeral. But yeah, you can. Well, there are companies out there where you can go and have your body, you know, put underneath of where they plant a tree. And so then as you're dying and decomposing, your body, I should say, is dying and decomposing. The tree is growing up and being like fertilized essentially by that. You know, and I'm
Except
really
you just don't put embalming liquid in your body.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's a thing. Like it's I think it's called green funeral. You got to look it up. So
looking it up because I don't want to be embalmed, and I don't mind being burned. I just don't want to be burned alive, but I don't mind being burned. But I do mind plastic.
I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that one.
Well, I knew someone that got burned to death. And in my 20s, and we didn't really understand him at the time, but he was when you met him, he had a lot. You could actually, and this was way before my psychic training, but you could just tell. You could tell he was carrying a lot of karma, a lot. I mean, his dogs tried to eat our cats, and like, you know, he was a drug dealer, and wow. It wrecked our friendships for a while, but anyway, he did end up burning to death alive.
That's crazy.
I know, it was wild. So may he rest in peace. But anyway, so back to that emotion. So the emotions kind of brought up with all of these pictures, and then she had us write. She said, well, if you feel moved, right? Or if you feel moved, or if you feel like you need to write something to the people you're leaving behind.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm not prepared for that, but I love writing. So were you like excited about that part?
Yeah, I didn't. It was funny because I had so many thoughts, and I thought I did share this with Raul the other night. And I thought, you know, I started thinking I was surprised, by how that came out of me as well. You know, the prompt, it was like, I was ready for it, but I didn't know I was ready. Like It was a subconscious, it was so interesting. Yes. I love how the whole thing is put together, but I thought I was going to write like a paragraph or a few sentences to each person in my life. So like my kids individually, you know, and then my parents and my brother and Raul, and then maybe my kid's dad. And like, I had little like snippets of what I might say to each of them individually. And I was going to approach it that way. And then what I ended up doing was, it was because I like public speaking. I like addressing, you know, a crowd, and I like to stand in front of a group of people and talk, you know. I don't know. There's something about it that makes me happy and excited. Like I said, I was going to be an actress on stage, a stage actress.
Going back to the actress dream.
Right. So I thought I really did write this as if I was going to be standing in front of everyone, like at a podium at my own funeral, and like presenting it to the group. Yeah. And so I really had that, like, it was almost this energy that came out of my heart space and like into my hand and into the pen and onto the paper. And I pointed out to Raul that like, I didn't cross anything out. I didn't change words.
Ours look exactly the same.
Yeah. That's amazing.
It's exactly the same.
But I didn't do the back. I did it. It's one sheet of paper. It's not like I ran out of space at the end and squinched the words together. There's no, like the way I usually would write is like, no, I don't like that word. And I would change, you know, and kind of be a perfectionist about it. And it was whatever flowed out of me. And there was
true channeling.
Yeah, it really was.
It was really true channeling.
Yep.
But it's so funny that you say like you were going to write to this person, this person, this person, this person, because I could also feel while looking at the picture, I could feel that control, that ego trying to have like its last say, and you need to do this and you need to do that.
This way. Yeah.
Do it this way and do it that way. And I could also feel that ego literally leave when we were writing the letter. And I wrote the letter just to my 2 kids. I have 5 because 3 from the second marriage, but I've birthed 2.
Yeah.
So the letter was actually to them, and I had no idea. And it like took over my body. Mm-hmm. It took over my body. So I'm curious, cool. Before we read, if you want to, do you feel like you were coaching yourself through the letter and judging yourself through the letter? Or did you really let yourself just kind of say whatever you want and truly not judge it?
Yeah, I don't think that I judged it. I think I had an inkling, like a little tiny bit of a nudge to go in and judge my words. And then I was like, no, I just didn't respond to those nudges to judge. You know what I mean? It was interesting. Like it was there. It was a little bit there, but I was just, and I'm like, and what literally, like you said, it was a true channeling, whatever came out. And then I was like really happy with how it came out. Like the way that the way the sentences were put together, and I was like, and the start to finish, like it was like almost like a process. Yeah, I was really happy with it. And I did have a little bit of that little mind, like, like, what are you going to say? What are you going to say like that? You want that word? Whatever. I had like a tiny bit of that, but it was not hard for me to be like, be quiet.
Yeah, because I kept telling myself, like, you're dead.
Yeah.
You're dead. And I think that's why I was crying so much, because when I'd look at the picture, I'd be like, well, you did have nice hair, and you were pretty, but you're dead now.
Hair, but you're dead. I didn't even say that to myself. Wow. That's really good. I mean, it's good to be able to say that like that.
Yeah, because I was like, because that's why I felt like this immense gratitude, because I think we're all given gifts, and we're so hard. I can't speak for you, but I am so hard on myself. I mean, physically, mentally, emotionally. I came in with that. My mom solidified it for me. My dad solidified it for me. I mean, I have to work 24/7 not to be critical of myself. So even when I get all dolled up and stuff, I can pick myself apart. So I've had to make that. But when I was dying, I was like, you know what? You were pretty and you had nice hair and your tree's so pretty and you bought a house. Congratulations. Like I felt I was really complimenting myself from a genuine space, not overcoming the ego, but just an appreciation and a gratitude, because I really feel like Source gives us gifts. That's just me. I feel like we all have our gifts. Some people are gifted the gift of beauty. Some people are gifted the gift of materialness. Some people are gifted the gift of speaking and talking and walking and athletic ability and luck. Everybody has like these gifts. I don't think we're all created equal.
And I don't think that people really fully appreciate their gifts, while they have them.
No.
I think that's just part of the human condition, that it just doesn't, and so, like really going all the way back to the beginning of the conversation, like having the universe or whatever setting us up, or God setting us up for this experience to take us to that place where we were already being primed by our life circumstances to have appreciation for some of the gifts, because in the sense that at any given moment, those things could be taken away from us, and we could cease to enjoy those gifts, and tragically, in ways sometimes, and it sucks.
I know. And I liked doing the death simulation and the living funeral because I knew I was going to come back to life. And so before we move to the next spot though, do you want to read a paragraph of your letter?
Mine is it's only one page and it's hard to just read a paragraph. Do you mind if I read the whole thing, or should I not read the whole thing? It's hard to pick a spot to read.
Well, start from the beginning and just maybe read start from the beginning.
Thank you for loving me, for appreciating me, and for showing me your divinity. The joy you have shared with me kept my heart afloat during hard times. The promise of more joyful experiences, laughter, and love kept me always looking forward to the next day. I always knew that the hard times would give way to the divine expressions of love because you showed me with your love that I could make it through. I'm sorry for the times I was not soft when I should have been, for withholding my love and my presence out of fear. I know that each moment is perfect. And so I know that even when I think I fell short, it was all being done exactly as God planned. I'm so thankful I learned to let go. I hope you can too. We are meant to live happy, joyous, and free. Protect yourself and your heart. Let yourself feel the pain that sometimes comes with living. Go out in the sun and let it warm your soul. That is where you will find me. Thank you for letting me love you. You are so precious, so special. It has been such a privilege to walk this life with you, even if our time together was brief. All of it was for joy, for learning, for love, and for God. When you get to go home, I'll be waiting. Until then, dance, smile, breathe, eat good food, and hug each other tight. I love you so much.
Wow, that was an amazing letter. You made it through the whole thing.
That's it. That's why I said it. I could read the whole thing. It's not that long.
Okay,
but yeah,
good.
I mean, that would be what I would say. Like, I would say that to anyone. I would say that to anyone that I've met, any person that's crossed my path. I would say that to my children. I would say that to anyone.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was absolutely beautiful. Mine's longer, so I'm only going to read part of mine. Okay. But let me put on my glasses that are really actually smudged. So let me put them. Okay. I had so much fun with you at every part of our life together, all stages, the baby stage, toddler, preteen, teen, and adulthood. You're literally the best part of my life and the only part that made me whole and complete. No matter what I said or don't say, you are my joy. Be the light that you are in the world and find other lights that help you have fun. Be whole and complete. I felt pure love with you and was able to give all my love. No regrets. Advice: push yourself out of your comfort zone to find your true happiness. It is within, and it doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Love yourself as you were created and find that inner peace we all had before adults got in the way, devices, or human deception. Be yourself. Truly dig deep, and explore. Travel, love in all ways, and never shame yourself. You are amazing, and I'm going to miss you, and the most of all, you both are my heart, and I hope you feel my love for you and share it with each other and others. Fun, love, adventure, peace, and everything else beyond that will come together for you. Do the things you think you can't, and then celebrate. No excuses, no procrastination, no worries. Just really feel like you deserve it all because you're filled with love. Take care of Dre for me. He is our rock. My love that accepted us when all of our stuff and gave us love we all needed and requested of him. I have literally no regrets except for two: being a naturopathic doctor and having lots of money to go on endless vacations and pay for everybody. But you can carry on those adventures with your friends, your family, and other loved ones. I love you so much. I'll always be with you. Talk to me all the time during your meditation, when you're driving and when you need me. I'll show up and talk to you. Get to know my spirit, and I will talk to yours. Please don't forget me and take me on all your adventures. Date nice people who love you and want to have fun and laugh, because everything else is so dang hard. Be otherworldly, ask questions, and dig deep. There are so many things to learn and do. You can do and be anything you desire. I have loved every minute with you. I love you with all my body, mind, and spirit and heart. I will miss you. Love, Mama.
I love that.
You're right. That. You can't finish. You can't stop in the middle.
No, you can't stop in the middle. And the one thing you said about, I found you were in the, towards the beginning, it was like, I found true love with you and I was able to give true love. And that is so as a mother, you know, like I'm thinking when you're starting to read, like, this is like what I would love to hear from my mother. And I think she would say these things to me if she could still share thoughts like that, you know? So you have to open yourself to feeling it when someone can't share these words with you, you know, like it's there. It's there because
we don't tell our people though, like when we're alive, like we don't tell.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, you know, I go, you know, my mom's like, I love you with all my heart. And I mean, my mom tells me she loves me, but I'm just saying, you know, it's not like, oh, you know, because her feelings are different than mine.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, and not everybody has access to their feelings.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I think it's like so magical that the death experience brings those words that you could never say either.
Yeah. I did a little bit of digging into like, there's different ways of doing this. And like, maybe if we had a bigger group, Natalie would have modified her method of doing it. But, you know, some living funeral methodology involves like one person being, so I kind of thought when you invited me to this, I thought that's kind of what we were doing. Like you were dying, but like anyone who was going to be there was not going to also die. Like you were dying and we were going to do, you know, you're going to do like the eulogy thing, like who's giving the eulogy and, you know, all that. So I kind of thought that that was what it was, but that process in my mind, my imagination would impart an opportunity to say what you feel about a person while they're still alive. They deserve to hear it. You know, they deserve to hear how what you appreciate about them and how they changed your life and what you're thankful for. You know what I mean? So,
yes. And maybe you don't know that until you face death, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't know, like, maybe you just don't know what you, like, I didn't know I was going to be writing a letter to my 2 children, you know, and then just, you know, I had no idea that that was going to happen. But okay, so let's go down to so after the letter, then she lays us down and then she puts a shroud on us, it was literally a death blanket. Yeah. Right. And then it really got me when she threw the flower on me.
Oh my God. So those were, and we talked about that afterwards. And she said, these are somatic, like
responses.
It elicits a somatic response, that it's very symbolic, you know, and I described this to you all when we were still sitting in the room and we were talking afterwards, was the process of what that was. Like I told her, like, I heard you say something about a shroud, you know, but I didn't, because I was like in this meditative state. So my conscious mind was kind of picking up the pieces of what she was saying.
Yeah.
But I wasn't fully listening. You know what I mean? I wasn't asleep, but I wasn't awake. It was that state where you're like, I'm somewhat slightly aware of something that's going on, but I'm really in this process. And so I felt like I was being sunken down. Like I felt like the earth like swallowed me almost.
And I felt that too.
It was such a great feeling. And then when she put that, it was very, very much like, it was like completion of the process almost.
Yes.
But that wasn't where it ended.
Well, I felt like, so you felt the earth going around you. I felt like it was literally a grave dug and I'm in it because I could see the tall walls. And then I could see like 6 faces looking at me. My parents were there. So I have 3 living parents. So I have 3 parents were there. Dre was there, Jules, Sims, and yeah, that was it. So those were the attendees of my funeral. And they were all looking over at me down in the dirt. And they were all saying, I'm really going to miss you. But she had a good life and she's going to the light. Like, wow. But I felt so deep in the earth like you. And I know you said you didn't see faces, but what did you feel? Like, I really felt like they were going to put dirt on me and I was going to just sink into the earth and be there and just be there.
Yeah, that's what I felt. It was like a drawing, like it was a swallowing, you know, and sometimes when I describe the process of meditation, because I'm often trying to help people, you know,
meditate.
put these practices into play in their lives, put these rituals into play. And so I'm like, it's the feeling of being slurped through a straw. You know, when you get into that meditative state and it's like you're just in it, you know, your physical body still exists. I mean, that's almost like a death, the ground of being, you know, as they say in yoga, there's like different names and words and for the process of it or whatever. But it felt like I was being like just magnetically drawn towards the center of the earth and just sucked in, you know, it was like gravity got more powerful than it actually is for that little few minutes there.
Yes.
You know,
however long it was, we don't even know.
I have no idea. It could, I know we ended on time or whatever, but like it was,
so it was a 90-minute funeral, I think. Right.
Yeah.
So then, okay. And then the last part is, and I don't know, because you and I haven't talked about this, and when she was walking us through, like leaving our stuff and leaving our bodies. So, you know, she said something like, oh, give the people you love any of your belongings or your special belongings.
The belongings and imagine who's taking them.
Imagine who's taking them. And no one took anything of mine.
Yeah.
Mine all just disappeared up into the air.
Yeah. And I had little snippets of visuals, you know, like my little stuff like this, you know, this doesn't mean anything to anyone else.
Right.
The only reason why it has meaning is because I gave it meaning. You know? And I have a lot of antiques. My grandmother was kind of an antique dealer. And so we, you know, and she was sort of a hoarder because she went through the Depression. So she felt like she needed to save everything.
Yes.
So there's stuff that I have that I think no one gives a shit about. Like nobody cares about these things. And so like, or my books or whatever. So I just quickly kind of went through a little catalog inventory of like, you know, well, of course, I'm sure like I'll have friends that'll come and they'll want my books, you know, like at the shop, like all the healing books that I have, my lending library. And I'm sure that, you know, my kids they will probably, you know, take some little token or trinket of stuff that I have and, you know, want it. And then there's things that, cause we, you know, I'm literally doing this with my mom, like cause she has all my grandma's stuff. Not a lot of people in our family wanted a lot of my grandma's stuff. And so like last year we did, or the year before last, it was October of 23. We did, a yard sale and we cleared out my mom's storage units, garage and attic, you know? And so there's stuff that's still functional. Like as we're going through it, it's like, oh my God, I really, really needed that strainer basket for my vegetables because when I steam them and it's an old school tool that like they don't make anymore. And like, so there's functional things. So I was imagining the functional things that actually have like a good purpose and use were going to be adopted by someone in my life. And, you know, so yes, disappear.
That's a lot of thinking, Kelly, while you're dying in the dirt. Like mine just all disappeared. Like, why are you going through a vegetable washer?
Well, it didn't get to that level. It only happened with a few things. And like you said, because you said they disappeared and I'm like, in my mind, they disappeared too, but they disappeared like into the hands of someone. And it was non-specific and nondescript. So it was you know, like I said, I think when we were together, I said my abalone shell, you know, I'm like, oh, the abalone shell. And it came into my mind's eye and I was like thinking about the abalone shell and then it was just gone. And it was like, well, of course someone's going to want that, but I don't know who it was, you know.
This is such an interesting idea. And this is just coming to me, but like, I know people have estate sales because, you know, they're opening it up to, you know, the public because there's so much stuff. But what if you just opened it up to the family first and was like, or family or friends and been like, hey, does any of this mean anything to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you're liquidated before you get to that point because it's like, that was another thing about the process of some of my family members dying is like, if we do this before we get to the point where they're dead, it's going to be so much easier for us when they are dead, because who wants to deal with the person you love dying and also trying to figure out what to do with all their stuff at the same time? Like that's obnoxious.
Yeah. And my sister-in-law is going through this right now because both of her parents passed, and it was the sweetest Christmas present and she gave me some of his crystal trees like it was like tiger's eye and red
nice.
jasper and blue calcite, and the crystals were made out of like little trees of life, so they were, and I was like, that is so meaningful and so loving, and because they didn't mean they meant something to her, but she's like, I knew you would love these. And they are a staple on my mantle. Like, I love them. They came from her dad, who was an amazing person. And then the
You would
crystals.
Appreciate them.
Yeah. And I appreciate them. And the crystals, they have so much healing power. And then she thought of me, and it's like, so what if we did that when people crossed? It was like, oh, okay, this could go to this. And we had time to do that. So it wasn't a crisis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's not like, oh, we have to hurry up and get their house cleaned out because we have to get it sold or get it on the market because we need to recoup the money because it was so expensive to do the funeral or some crap,
Just really, gross. Just really That's intentional. Gross. Okay. And then the last part, and I don't know, because we didn't talk about this again. So, but when she was walking us out of getting rid of our bodies, right? And we're losing our skin, we're losing our brain, we're losing our, all of that. And we're just a being of light. So I did end up being like this gold, like it kind of looked like a stretched out oval, like a stretched out oval. I didn't have arms or legs or anything. It was just like this big, beaming, golden, egg-shaped light. And then all of a sudden, I look up to the right, and there are other beings of light waiting for me. It was like source. It was the universe. It was God. It was whatever you want to call it. But I could feel and see the people, like the other beings of light. And they were waiting for me. And they were like, you're ready.
You're here.
You're here. And I was like, oh my God, I'm there. I'm on the other side and I'm not really dead. This is amazing. I mean, obviously I felt dead. But, like today I'm thinking I got to meet source energy. And I did get one message from them. And they said, well, besides them saying, I'm here and you're welcome and, you're ready and all that kind of stuff. But, they were like, you need to spend more time with us.
That's cool.
You need to spend more time with us. And I was like, okay. So and their specific words were, you need to spend time with infinity.
Okay.
And I was like,
good instruction.
Okay. All right. I'll do that. So anyway, okay. So what was your leaving the body part?
It's funny. I loved hearing what you said, and because at that point, I'm sad to say, in a sense, that I was not conscious of what she was saying.
Yeah, that's okay.
So I heard her voice. I listened to her voice. I didn't get any visuals. I don't think that I was actively participating with her prompts at that point. You know what I mean? I kind of went
out. You're so out of it.
After I got sucked down into the earth, like I said, the little few things, the prompts about releasing your belongings and stuff, I was still kind of with that. But then there came a time where I was just out, and I heard her voice. I knew where I was. I wasn't I was in this meditative state. I was just not really following along with the direction.
I remember one time I'm thinking, is Kelly snoring? And then I remember thinking when we were in the grave, I'm like, I think Kelly's snoring. And then I was like, then I heard Natalie go around to the corner, and I was like, oh, Natalie's touching her. Natalie's telling her it's okay.
Yeah.
And I was having all these strange, I'm dead thoughts, why is she snoring? Is she dead? Is she listening? What is she doing?
I was not snoring because I was conscious of when she started playing the harmonium. And I was with amazing. That was also something that took me in a little bit deeper to the meditative process, was when she started playing the harmonium and the music. And I was focusing so hard on how she was playing it and the notes that she was playing, because it was different than any way that I've ever heard anybody play the harmonium before. I have a harmonium. I don't really play it. So I think there was a little bit of, ego chatter of like, you should play your harmonium, or I bet you could learn how to do that, that kind of thing.
You're like,
and
I'm busy dying. Shut the
yeah,
F up.
Yeah, exactly. But again, like I said, same thing like before, when the little tiny bit inkling of that voice started to come in when I was writing, it was just like, I'm not giving any attention to those thoughts at this point. And so I really was deep in the music, I guess it was music or whatever. And so then I think that part that you're describing was after that. And at that point I was like, but I remember her. And then I remember she did touch a little bit or stand, I guess, near me.
Yeah, she like stood near you or something. I could feel her energy around.
Yeah. And then she started to that's when she took the shroud off. So I think maybe she came back from the harmonium back to that side of the room because she was going to begin the process of bringing us back up out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then I got the message that I was coming back to life because my daughter wasn't ready for me to go yet.
Yeah. Wow. Cool.
And I'm not ready to go yet. But also the bigger reason is not to make money and do a career and blah, 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 and blah, all the stuff the ego tells us, right?
Right.
It's like, no, you're coming back because your daughter's not ready for you to go. But they also told me my son would be fine and everybody would be fine without me. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm glad I'm coming back.
Yeah. And we talked about that too. That day and I said, I know I've already released my children in a sense, spiritually, emotionally, because I knew that I couldn't hold those attachments to them the way that I had through, most of their lives. I mean, Lila's about to be 17. So it's just the way of relating it's required now that I'm changing my way of relating because I'm changing who I am because I'm releasing things that are no longer part of this, experience.
Yeah. And I mean, they're really not ours to begin with. Right. And so that concept alone is hard to deal with.
The vessel,
we're just the vessel and we're just here on borrowed planetary time.
Yep.
Okay. Well, and then she took the shroud off and we kind of came out of it and processed, and she does this for groups, individuals. We did just the two of us. And I mean, Natalie was amazing. And I would highly recommend if you are looking to
try it.
And I wanted to do this too, to really die before I lived for my 50th, because I do want another 50 years in my life. Yes. I do want to hit 100. I want to, and in good health, right? Good health, traveling, good wealth, good friends.
I see it.
We're doing it.
We'll be doing this again when we're 100. I love that. You'll be 100 and I'll be 95.
But right. I mean, the gurus say, like the ancient yogis, right? They say if we're really healthy, 120 is not going to be unrealistic for us.
It's not going to be out of reach. And you also texted me. I know you probably wanting to wrap up, but I thought it was cool about how we both felt after. I was like, I felt slow. I can look up what your words were to me, but I said, I feel slow. And
you said, I feel high and slow.
I feel
and
high.
Else. And I was like, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slow and something. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I said, I feel like high, like warm and fuzzy and slow.
Warm and fuzzy.
You said me too. Same. It was like this internal warmth, it was a softening of the heart. I think it was warm in my chest cavity, like soft and warm and, just easeful and peaceful and not like chaotic and tense and like I had been, for the days leading up to it. I needed to have that release of, tension. So,
and what do you feel like? Okay. So it's been almost a week, right? A week.
Yeah.
And so what do you truly feel? And let's kind of compare notes, right? What do you feel that is different emotionally, maybe even physically, but what do you feel like? Do you feel difference in the mind? Like, let's just see if we have similar stuff. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I got a little agitated yesterday. I think these might honestly be ongoing after effects because, and and I responded differently than I normally would. So like it was earlier in the evening than I get to this point. I call it itchy, bitchy, and twitchy. I think I might have talked about that on the podcast before too. Like at the end of the day, my nervous system has just had enough and it's time to chill out. And chilling out is so hard to do for someone that I live at a level of intensity. In Ayurveda, I'm a pitta, which is an intense constitution, fiery, go, 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 like whatever. And then there's reason for me to be that way. I have 4 kids and a business, you know what I mean? Like and I take care of my mom. So there's a reason for me to be at a level of intensity. Anyway, the point is that earlier in the evening than usual, so probably about 7:00 last night, I was like agitated, like everything was agitating me. And I was like, I'm going to put myself in timeout. And luckily, like my family knows, like when this happens, no one is like, what are you doing? Or they like kind of leave me alone. They like covered me up with a blanket and I laid there and I didn't really sleep, but I sort of just drifted and I just detached from, and it was almost the same type of experience as the funeral where you're just going into this deep place, really deep. Gravity got stronger than it normally is. And it just drew me in. And then like an hour later, I just got up and I was like, and I felt like, again, that same warm, fuzzy, noodly kind of softness in my body. And I was like, oh, this is nice. Like I could take it down about 10 notches by doing this practice regularly. Wow, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's really it. I mean, it's just noticing, for me, it's noticing when I'm pushing myself, like giving myself grace. I mean, I didn't feel, and I said that to Raul, I was like, I didn't have a hard day. I don't know why I needed to crash out at 7. But I guess if you think about it, like anything hard is not like I did 10 clients or I drove, all over the place, or there was a field trip and then a extracurricular activity like that. It was literally just like I was present for my mom during a doctor's appointment. And that can equate to hard for my body and my mind. And I can accept that. Yeah. And I can say, I need rest. And so anyway, I think that that's something that came of the process, was this ability to notice when I can take a step back away and sort of like have a mini death for like an hour, like go die for an hour. So it's going to be my regular practice. Like
I love that.
I'm going to die every day for like an hour. And that's what I'm going to think of it as, dying, because the things that were creating that tension and building that intensity are going to be released and let go. And I'm going to be able to come back to life after that mini death. And I'm going to be able to be more present because I've let go of that, whatever that intensity was.
Yeah.
Well, so that's my takeaway.
That's good. I mean, I think for the week, I have been definitely more unattached to any kind of drama whatsoever, which yes. I don't really have a lot of drama in my life anyway, because I choose to not have that and I work hard at that. However, even with the ice crisis and
mm-hmm. You're calm.
And I only got irritated right after the funeral because I told her, I was like, I'm not going to be available for the rest of the day. I remember I'm dying and I don't want to be disturbed when I come back to life. And of course, an hour and a half after, I was disturbed after I came back to life. But it was a good reminder, because she got me all wound up. Well, I can't say she got me wound up. I got myself wound up.
You responded with getting wound up. Yeah.
I got all wound up and I was like, how? I was like, I don't even effing care about this MFing cold. Get your ass home. And then I ended up spending, 5 days and buying hotels. So I didn't even keep to my word, or my threats, but minus the anger outburst after my funeral, this week has been so calm.
Yeah.
So calming. I literally rebranded, and we'll have to have a side talk. I literally rebranded my whole business.
Whoa.
Yes. I completely shifted my business. in 5 days.
Okay.
Yes.
Good you.
I know.
Wait to hear about that.
Yeah. So I did that and got my new assistant rolling, and Andre updated my whole rebranding and did it for me too, like, cause we do that together. Yeah. And he's amazing at that. I mean, like, that's his gift.
Yeah.
And,
wow.
I tell him an idea and then he goes, oh, you said that we could do da 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 da. And I was like, I did. And he does. And then he like power drives through and then just like makes it happen overnight. It's just wild.
That's so cool. He was excited about the changes.
He was excited about my death. And at first he was offended that he didn't get invited. And then after he got over his being offended, then he saw the change. Now, he didn't tell me this, but I'm just letting you know, like, he saw it. He saw the change. And so we've rebranded the whole business. I've had a complete shift with my daughter since the ice crisis, the snow crisis. I don't mean ice, I mean snow. Yeah. And then I really just feel like I've done enough.
Yeah.
I have done enough. There's always more we can do. There's always more trips we can take, just like my one regret, right? There's always more schooling to do.
I know. I was thinking that, like, you're going to be able to go on trips and stuff. That dream is not done. That regret.
Yeah, it's not done. But it was done for that day because I was dying, right? Yeah. When I was like, oh, damn, I didn't get to go everywhere I wanted to go. But now I am alive, and so we can do that, right? Mm-hmm. And I can go back to school. And I am going back to school, but it's just like, it puts things in perspective that for me, I have done enough and I am enough and we're good enough.
Yeah. And you can release the pressures to be more than what you have been and what you are. And that allows for more presence in the moment. And I think that really is the key takeaway for this process of the living funeral. It's like releasing crap so that you can be more present in the moment, day to day, moment to moment,
Yes. And not think about the future or planning or parties or this or that. It's like, what are you doing right then? And how do you feel about it? And right then, and are you grateful for it right then?
Yep.
I love that. And I love that I got to do this with you. So I love that the universe brought us back together.
And that was something we didn't talk about either, was when we got up and I looked at you and I was like, nobody else wanted to do this, really? Like, I was like, I can't, I'm like, I just have one burning question through this whole process. It's like, why isn't anyone else doing this? It's amazing. Like, literally that was my thought, was like, surely you have friends who would want to do this. Like, why isn't anyone else in this room with us right now? So it was really a great honor to be included and to receive the medicine of this process and this experience. Natalie I hope she listens to this podcast and hears.
Me too. I hope everybody calls Natalie and does a living funeral. And I definitely want to do one, but we talked about that. It's spring coming up.
Yeah.
And
it's new life.
And it's hard to die.
We'll put something together for I was saying next winter, like when everybody starts to descend into that winter energy, that inward journey, it would be the perfect time to do this.
Yeah. And stay tuned. Kelly and I are going to do a retreat with Natalie. We haven't told Natalie, but we're telling Natalie now.
We're doing a thing. It's going to happen.
We're going to do a thing. It's going to happen. Stay tuned. And Kelly, enjoy your day. Thank you for sharing all of your heart moments with us.
Thanks for having me. I love this.
I love you.
I love you too.
Okay. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. Please use your own discernment and seek professional care when needed.